You know that feeling like you're not quite in the driver's seat of your own life? That some hidden force is pulling the strings, maybe keeping you from the happiness and success you're really after? Well, what if I told you there's a manual for taking back control? Today we're exploring how to reprogram your mind. Let's dive in.
It's a question the legendary psychoanalyst Sigmund Freud asked over a century ago. Are you the master in your own house? Kind of makes you stop and think, right? He was hinting that the conscious part of us, the part we think of as me, isn't really the one calling the shots. So if we're not the master, who is?
Well, the answer is your mind's autopilot. The vast majority of what your brain does every single second is completely automatic. It's all happening beneath your conscious awareness in this incredibly powerful, hidden system that's pretty much running your life.
The best way to picture this is to think of an iceberg. That little tip you see sticking out of the water, that's your conscious mind. It's about 10% of the whole thing. It's what you're aware of right now. But that massive, powerful, hidden part under the surface, that's the other 90%. That's your subconscious. And that, my friend, is where the real action is. And get this, the difference in processing power is just mind-blowing. Your conscious mind can juggle, 7 pieces of information at a time on a good day? Meanwhile, your subconscious is a supercomputer, processing millions of times more data every single second. It's handling your breathing, your heartbeat, digging up memories, and running all your deepest habits, all on autopilot.
Okay, so this autopilot sounds amazing, right? It's powerful, it's efficient. So what's the catch? Well, the problem is that way too often, it's running on old, outdated, and frankly, negative software. It's operating on these hidden scripts we call limiting beliefs.
I mean, just look at these. Do any of them sound familiar? That little voice in the back of your head that whispers, you're not smart enough, you don't have enough time, you'll never really make it. These aren't just random passing thoughts, they are literal programs running in that hidden 90% of your mind, and they are actively shaping your reality.
Now, here's the most important thing to hear today. You are not alone in this, not even close. Every single person has these beliefs. They actually come from a place of fear, from an ancient part of our brain that's just trying to keep us safe. So the goal isn't to pretend they don't exist, but to see them for what they are and learn how to take back the controls.
So how do we actually do that? How do we grab the steering wheel back from the autopilot? It all comes down to a really simple 3-step process. This is it. This is your manual override. This is the core of the instruction manual for your mind.
Okay, here we go. 3 steps. Step 1, identify and accept. When that negative thought pops up, don't fight it. Don't push it away. Just notice it. Like, oh, there's that thought again. No judgment. Step 2, reframe. This is where you challenge that old script and consciously, intentionally replace it with a new, empowering one. And finally, step 3, nurture. This is crucial. You have to actively feed and reinforce that new belief until it becomes the new automatic program. Let's see what that reframing actually looks like. So the old autopilot program says, I'm not good enough to manage this project. The manual override, your new program, says, I have the capabilities necessary to succeed at everything I do. And look, this isn't about lying to yourself. It's about choosing a more useful, more empowering truth to focus on and build from. You know, this whole idea of choosing what to focus on, of nurturing the good instead of just fixing the bad, was brought into crystal clear focus for one of the world's leading psychologists by a very unlikely source, his 5-year-old daughter.
So this is Dr. Martin Seligman, one of the founders of a whole field called positive psychology. Now, for most of his career, he was, in his own words, pretty goal-oriented, always in a hurry and, well, kind of a grouch. His work, like most psychology back then, was all about fixing what was broken in people.
So one day, he's out in his garden, just focused on getting the job done, ripping out weeds as fast as he can. His 5-year-old daughter, Nikki, is there with him, but she's not being efficient at all. She's just having the time of her life, singing and throwing weeds up in the air like confetti. Seligman gets annoyed and yells at her. Nikki walks away, clearly upset, but then she comes back and says something that just floors him. She tells him that for her 5th birthday, she decided to stop whining all the time, and it was the hardest thing she'd ever done. And then she looks him right in the eye and says, Daddy, if I can stop whining, you can stop being such a grouch. And boom! That was it, the epiphany. In that one moment, he realized his entire approach, not just to parenting, but to his life's work, was kind of backward. The goal wasn't just to correct Nikki's flaws, it was about seeing her strengths, her spirit, her insight, and nurturing those. It was about helping her build a life around what was best in her.
In this one little moment, created this huge seismic shift, not just for him, but for the entire field of psychology. It's a principle that applies directly to us right here, right now. Stop focusing only on fixing what you think is broken and start intentionally building what's best.
And that is the heart of positive psychology. Look, it's not about being happy-go-lucky all the time or ignoring problems. It's the science of what makes life worth living. It's about nurturing the good stuff, your strengths, positive emotions, your resilience. It's about actively building the life you want, not just trying to escape the life you don't.
So let's bring it all back home to you. You now have the 3-step manual override: identify, reframe, and nurture. You understand this huge shift from just fixing flaws to building on your strengths. The question is no longer if you can reprogram your mind. The only question left is, what's the first limiting belief you're going to start reframing today?